Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Nolan is back. This time, he's not with Warner Brothers. He left Warner Brothers after, Jason Kilar and that AT&T fiasco destroyed Hollywood by putting a lot of shows straight to HBO Max. Christopher Nolan went and took his talents to Universal, and his first film for Universal Studios Pictures is Oppenheimer, the story of the first atom bomb, the creation of the first atom bomb and all the devastation that comes from it, prior and post Nagasaki, Japan, and Hiroshima. Okay? This is going to be a spoiler-free review. I'm Jody Joe. Thank you guys so very much for being here. PG4 is here.
4. He's the man with the brain. I'm the man with the kind of brain.
Oh, thanks, man. That makes me feel good.
That makes me feel kind of good.
Oppenheimer, man. Let's talk about this movie, bro. BG4, how do you feel about this movie? Let's have a discussion.
I think this is a great film.
Yes, I agree.
This is monumental.
I agree.
In regards to how I feel about it. It's a lot of dialogue. That's probably my only, I would say, concern for moviegoers right now. Just with...
So you worry that people will be bored?
People, not even necessarily that they will be bored.
This movie's 3 hours.
But just depending on if that's not the type of film that they go into looking for, a dialogue heavy where there's banter and wit, where you have to make sure you're really tuned in. You're not crunching in your ear or something is distracting and then you miss something. I think that will be a deterrent for this film in itself. But overall, the film is great. The filmography, the videography, the cinematography, is absolutely amazing. Yeah. The use of CG in certain moments is absolutely good.
You say?
Yes.
So what I heard Christopher Nolan stated that there isn't one single piece of CGI in this movie.
So everything is a practical effect.
Practical.
Including
That was a real explosion that went off.
Well, no, I can believe that. I'm not going to doubt the explosion portion. I'm thinking of just some of the smaller things, like some particle effects that happen on in the earlier part of the film that are
easy to do with the microscope and a small contained.
Okay. Then I'm going to say I'm going to take it up from cinematography from great to excellent to master class, because everything was extremely beautiful and well placed. And then in regards to whoever was working with him in the editing room, just great. Yeah. Absolutely
This
beautiful.
is written and directed by Christopher Nolan, by the way. So his hands is fully on this. It's like a Tarantino movie, how he writes and directs his movies. Sometimes Nolan chooses to go for another writer. Sometimes he'll use his brother. But this is 100% his baby, just like Dunkirk was. This is far better than Dunkirk, guys. This is this is Nolan coming back to what... Because after Dunkirk, I was like, man, I think Nolan is kind of losing his way. His passion projects, while relevant, mind you, Dunkirk was a good film.
Okay.
I think Dunkirk is his worst movie.
You think so?
And his worst movie is still a good movie.
Okay, that one kind of fell off for me. It was probably, I wasn't in a war film moment.
Right.
So
Because it really doesn't feel like a war film. This here is about the man, Oppenheimer, a scientist, a brilliant scientist who brought quantum physics to the United States of America, bro. He's a Jewish man dealing with segregation, with Nazi Germany taking over Germany and enslaving his people. And all of these different people working together who know each other. This man is well-traveled in Europe and America, so he knows all of the great minds that are, some people are making the bomb for Russia, for Germany, America. So it's the race to basically become a nuclear power. And Cillian Murphy is the guy that, as you see here, he's the guy that plays Dr. Oppenheimer. And I think he does a fantastic job. Like, across the board, I think even some really good actors were cast in here. This cast is huge. And I feel like they respect Christopher Nolan and this craft so much that even though their role was small, they bring a masterclass in performance when it comes to their acting. Some of the best acting that these actors have ever done was in this movie, and they probably only had a few scenes in it, bro.
Only a few scenes. You could say some of these people maybe had a minute. Maybe some of them had 5 minutes over the course of the film in itself.
Treated it like it was an Oscar nom for them.
Absolutely. Every time some portion of the movie, someone's back is slightly turned, and then they are being introduced to who this character is, and you're like, oh, that's this person. Oh, I know that person from this film. I know this person from that film. Of course, we know that Cillian Murphy, Matt Damon, definitely going to be bigger known names that were inside of this film that people are going to know, but there is a lot of other very key actors who have taken on the primary lead roles in either film or major TV shows as of late, and they all did a very, very, very good job.
Christopher Nolan does a really good job. Well, let me first say, Christopher Nolan is doing the Tarantino with this. He's bringing in people that he's hired for his previous films, all come back in this movie. A lot of them. I've seen people from The Dark Knight. I've seen people from Interstellar. I've seen people from Dunkirk. I've seen people from multiple people from The Dark Knight, from Batman Begins. A lot of movies from the past, bro, he's brought back into this movie, bro. So Nolan is like, yo, I got a role for everybody. This one right here is the shit. Now, I can't judge our theater because it wasn't that packed because it was a premium theater and it was a new theater. So I won't judge the
technically,
audience on
we're on that we love film. We're there early, and we didn't want to be disturbed by anybody else coming through. You know?
Yeah. I gotta say this, man. This film, even though I'm personally interested in this, I love history.
Yes.
And it's kind of like a hobby passion for me that I like to indulge in. I'm constantly watching documentaries, and I know a moderate amount about World War II. World War II is a really famous and important war, and before I get to one of the gripes that I have, I understand that even though I'm passionate and I'm interested in this, I know that most Americans and most people are not. So most people are going to come and see this movie, bro. They're going to be bored. I think people are going to be bored sitting down for 3 hours watching dudes in a room talk about a bomb that's going to happen that doesn't happen for 2 hours into the movie.
Well, look, this is not the Titanic where you have Leonardo DiCaprio as a lead, and you also know that there's a love story involved. And
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
I mean, we have Cillian Murphy, who's not some unattractive guy, but the character that he plays does not draw any of, I'm going to say, the female side into, I'm going to go see this movie.
James Cameron told a story about the Titanic, which could be boring, but it's interesting. So in order to make it common for all the people to enjoy, they put Jack and Rose in there for the love story.
There's a love story.
Yes.
There's
There's
not that in here.
Even though there's relationships in here, there's nothing like Jack and Rose.
No.
Not enough.
If you are interested in this type of film, you would probably be the person who would have seen The Imitation Game, which was discussion of decoding, I can't remember the name of the machine, but the machine that the Nazis were using to send all of their coded messages and things like that. Tinker Tailor Soldier, The Good Shepherd, things that are more into like the world of spies or into worlds that are in regards to war, but not necessarily being on the front lines, and how their job is still impactful in getting people to actually be, the winners or losers in said wars or spy stuff. So those are the types of films that I would say that I would relate this to. This was just done on an even bigger scale than those.
I agree, 100%. Nolan took this so seriously. Nolan was so cynical with the way he made this movie. When it was coming time to, how they got the rig and they put the bomb and they were going to drop it?
Yeah.
The cast and crew thought he was they were so nervous and scared on set, they thought he was going to actually drop a real nuke. That's how real it felt, because Nolan was paying, all right, bring the bomb. All right, bomb. Everybody was cautious around the bomb. Nolan, like, the bomb, we got to make the bomb go off. It's about to go. It's about to, every million cameras to see this thing. It quite literally was a bomb. But I got to say, a little bit disappointed in the execution of that bad boy, because it was a big bomb, but it wasn't big enough to make me feel like I just saw a nuke. Now, that's because that's what happens when you don't use CGI, right? So I gotta give it a pass, because Nolan's craft of using practical gave me that. I enjoyed it, but a huge, big mushroom cloud nuclear bomb CG would have really hammered it home, and I don't know if Nolan made a mistake and not going for a CG-filled $10 million on this one bomb. Make it look realistic. I don't know if he made a mistake there or not.
I don't think he made a mistake. I just don't think it's going to be as appreciated. That's just my perspective on it, because sure, we have that scene and they blow up the bomb to see will it work. That's all I'm giving y'all. Mm-hmm. And when that occurs, it's more of he goes into Nolan art form. How can we show a bomb differently than it's already been done before? And that's what took place. I appreciated it. I enjoyed it. And that's exactly what happened.
That happened. But me looking looking at the lens that he got a wide shot of it, and he tried to get the scale to look as big as possible, but you can still tell it wasn't really that big.
This is why I think he did that. That was to not just give a different perspective on how we could actually do this, but also for the fascination in regards to really making sure we got this honed in from the scientist perspective. That is our perspective from the person when we actually got to see what it looked like, the aftermath. Here's this mushroom cloud, boom, this is what was actually happening in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And that is an absolutely iconic shot. And I cannot take it away. But maybe he didn't want to just, all right, maybe that felt like cut and paste to him. Let's not just do that again.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
I can roll with that.
I can understand that. I do agree. It may not hit for some people. It may not be as appreciated.
Some people are probably going to see that and be like, really?
It was a very good perspective. Can it feel underwhelming? Sure.
The tension leading up to it was decent.
Oh, yes. I started to feel it.
Yeah.
I was really starting to feel it.
Was decent. But I would argue that's not even the most tense scene of the film. I think what happened after the bomb, because you're going to be blessed with, and I believe, even more. The movie gets better after the bomb, for me, personally. Everything leading up to the bomb was cool and all that, but it's the consequences, repercussions, it's the change of ideals, narratives, the scheming, the way the government tries to turn things around, all of the stuff that Dr. Oppenheimer had to deal with. And we're going to have a disagreement, I think, because of the way Dr. Oppenheimer created a weapon of mass destruction.
Yes.
He created a weapon that was going to kill hundreds of thousands of Asians. He's a monster. That's just how I feel about it. You created the nuclear. Would somebody else have done it? Yes. Would Germany have gotten there before America if he didn't do it? Probably. Would Russia have? Absolutely. So it would have happened regardless. And then somebody else, and then America eventually would have came with the atom bomb. But the thing I say to myself is, Japan was not gonna surrender to the United States. I've seen so many documentaries and heard so many soldiers give their testimony. These are small islands that they're trying to siege, and they were at a standstill. Those Japanese fools in bunkers, in swamps, they were making them sweat. It was hot. They had no water. They had no food. The Americans were put to the test. These Japanese people were dying, killing themselves, willing to go out there and die for their country, bro.
That's when we learned the term
Americans
kamikazes.
The American wasn't ready for stuff like that.
No.
That was a like, what the freak is up? The will and the spirit of the Japanese soldier is strong. And just because these little small islands, and we send hundreds of thousands of people to the beaches, they were slaughtering us. We were slaughtering them, but it was just bloodbath. Eventually, we would have won anyway, but the numbers and the tens of thousands of soldiers dying every single week, it wasn't worth it. It really was bad, bro. So the atom bomb, and the Japanese didn't want to surrender under any circumstance. They didn't want to surrender. They knew they were cut off from their supplies. They knew they didn't have resources. They knew that they were surrounded. It didn't matter. They were going to fight to the end. They were stubborn on that sheet that they was on, and still America pleaded with them, surrender, surrender, surrender. Nothing was going to work. The atom bomb was made for the Germans, but Germany Hitler had ended his life. But Japan was still in the war with America, and they wouldn't surrender. And that's why they dropped the bomb as a warning. I mean, I remember when they dropped it on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I remember when they dropped that bomb, that first one, there was like, now do you surrender? Because the next one is going to be in a very popular, potent era. They had the idea that the next nuke could be dropped right on the emperor's palace. They was like, all right, that's what made them surrender, and that did effectively end the war. But don't get it twisted. The Americans were getting killed heavily on the coast of Japan. That was one of the most brutal battles of World War II, bro. It was really tough, and I understand why they did it, but it's genocide. It's slaughter on a high level. So this man who created this evil weapon,
with the help of many other people, even though he's lead,
he was the leader.
He was lead, yes.
This man who was in it for the science, he was in it for the mystery. He was mind warped. He was obsessed with the science of, can we possibly make this thing happen? Nuclear fission, nuclear reactions, splitting atoms. What? He got lost in his own insanity to achieve the greatest conquest since Albert Einstein, that he lost his humanity in the process. And only when the bomb dropped did this man start to get a change of heart, like, what have I done? And I was upset. My number one gripe with this movie is that Christopher Nolan did not show the victims of Hiroshima Nagasaki.
Really?
And I think that we should have shown the devastation. We have lots of video of the devastation that happened, that we did in war, to show how ugly war is. I think he should have shown that. He did do something else that I thought was really genius. But I think he should have shown that, right? When the nuke hit, it happened so instant. The way you would die faster than that. Like, faster than that.
Yeah.
That sound you hear, way faster than that, your whole body disintegrates.
Yes. There are families who don't even have bodies to bury.
Yes. One person got disintegrated so quick that they showed the photo. It showed the photo of the shadow on the ground.
Yes.
Which means the blast hit their body, but their body standing up created the shadow on the ground that it didn't cover. That's how instantly you got evaporated.
And there were other references too in regards to certain things that did happen that I had heard before. So this is absolutely this is film. It's been brought to us. It's based on real, absolute life things that we definitely know exist, didn't happen and occurred. And even though it is portrayed and it is beautifully portrayed, there is still that this is real and this is serious and to be taken serious. Him being a monster, yes, once he got to the realization that we can do this, I would say, yes, he became a monster. Yeah. When he started to essentially do what I would say a scientist would do in the relationships he had with certain people. We were there to do the science. We weren't here to make the judgment calls. That's not what we're here for. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm here to do this. Do you want to be a part of this or not? It's up to you. Okay? So that's where I would say, yeah, he became a monster. I don't disagree. I just say when he became the monster. Before then, yeah, he was a man of science. He was impacted by his own personal adventures and what he wanted to become and his rise and make his statement in the world of science. Totally got that. Yeah. I still think that there were people around him that could have done more damage who were even more monsters, but they didn't get to become said monsters because he was the lead and the direction that he had them go in. So, and yes, I do agree that the tension built up even more so towards that third act, that latter half of the film, because you went from seeing this scientist who is being praised and adulated in the world of science to him being essentially humiliated into the public for someone else's ventures and desires and where they want to be.
Politics starts to happen after the bomb. You did the bomb. Now who's responsible? What's gonna happen after nuclear world power? Because after World War II, America boomed, became the world power of the world.
They became the power.
The world power, and the rest was history. Currency and stuff, all that stuff. So I would say that there was one part that I noticed that was interesting. They didn't mention Roosevelt's name. Roosevelt was the president of the United States, who was basically the president who got us into the war of World War II, but he had polio. He passed away during World War II, and Truman was the vice president and became president. A lot of it was it was Truman, the only one that was really talked about. There's a lot of history that goes behind Roosevelt and Truman. Truman was going through hell, just deciding whether or not to go forward with this program and even to drop that bomb.
Yes.
That bomb that Franklin Roosevelt said, let's make.
Yes.
It was under his regime, his decision to make the bomb. But Roosevelt, if you could have a greatest president of all time, like based off what they've done, my favorite would be Roosevelt because of the things that he did. But, bro, nigga, like Roosevelt is the one who created this program, and the bomb is his. The bomb is his. But I think they didn't want to sully Roosevelt's name in this movie, bro. That's what I feel like. It was a little bit of that.
Well, if you say that, then I would just say Nolan wanted to be somewhat respectful of what happened in Japan and not really just show.
If he wanted to be respectful of what happened in Japan, then he should have shown some Japan
No, I
damage.
think if that was the case, then this wouldn't necessarily just be a film. It would be a documentary. It's not a documentary film.
I don't think documentary. Nah, bro. I think that they could have. See, he did a good job. This is the genius part that I'm talking about. I'm not even mad at it no more because when I was watching the movie and I'm like, why ain't they showing the shit? He did something else that was genius to show that. Oh no, he's shown the body. The ash body on his foot.
Yes.
He's shown he's shown some things happening to the audience in America. The shaky background, like he did a really good visual.
There are good
substitution.
Allusions. They're good allusions to what happened.
And I thought that was bomb, bro. The sound there, he did a good job there. So I'm not really. I understand it's a murky ground, but you're dealing with you're making a movie about realism. You're not using any CGI. And you're taking this very seriously, and for him to not show that is almost a disservice to me.
Well, here's why I'm saying that, because I'm taking this in as a film, and at the end of it, for me, when it comes to film versus documentary, if this is straight on film, I'm going to do what I would normally in my head, or at the end of it, if I really feel like it, I'm going to really, really clap. At the end of a documentary, I don't want to clap like that.
This is Nolan, baby.
He's
not a regular director. His films are like real.
I got that.
You know, he makes the realest films.
But no, I paused for a second because I have in my head, only because I actually knew the people though who did the documentary. It's like, congratulations for doing this, Pete. Yeah. So that's where my head kind of stopped for a second. But I get where your gripe is, and I understand that. Back to a more positive side. Since we know that the end is really where it gets tense and it really gets to what the people came to actually see, everything that led up to that, like I said, dialogue heavy, that sure will turn some people off. If it's not that type of thing for them, I definitely did enjoy it. When you're paying attention to it, and you have to pay attention to it, there's little certain moments of banter that are like these intelligent jabs at each other. It's not always just head on, like, I don't like this person or this and that. The words that are chosen and selected are very, very precise and will tell you how this person truly feels about this other person, or what they're trying to prevent or keep away from said other person, or the interactions. A lot of things that occurred. Some people didn't know what was going on, and it does affect their relationships with Oppenheimer towards the end. A lot of things happened that maybe some people did know, and it was certain reasons in regards to that why Oppenheimer could not work with, communicate, and do things in regards to how he wanted to be with them, relationship, professionally or personally. So it made everything that was happening in the end that you love and that I love worth it. Because they really started to tear this guy apart.
I think why he was, dang, that's like kind of spoilery.
That's why I was careful.
The reason why certain things happened with Dr. Oppenheimer post nuclear bomb dropping was 100%. There was a question that his wife kept asking him. Why this? Why that? Why don't you this? Why don't you that?
Yeah.
And that was 100% him punishing himself because he was guilty.
Yeah.
That's I think why he was doing it, which was great. I think one of the things that we need to let the audience know is when you guys go see Oppenheimer, and those of you guys who have already seen Oppenheimer, let me know in the comment section down below if this would have been helpful to you. Remembering people's names is vital.
Yes.
Like, because they just mention last names. Like, you see him once or twice, you better remember his name because they're going to talk about him in the future in other conversations. You're not going to know who the freak they're talking about.
Here we go. In regards to the pace of the dialogue, the pace of this dialogue felt like a Nolan film. It felt like if you were watching Inception. Everything was happening,
especially in the tense moments,
very, very quick. very, very quick.
You got to know the names. Got to try to remember the names.
So all of that, so all those things don't necessarily stay with you in that moment.
Yeah,
Fortunately,
yeah.
a lot of these people came back around, back and forth.
Yeah.
And in certain situations, I can honestly say, as long as if you're trying to make sure you know what's going on, if you at least know here's what the situation was, and then this person, when they come back up, if you didn't completely catch it, you will at least understand still what is happening.
And I'm sure there's a documentary out there where we could get the names of the people and stuff like that.
But that's why I was like, we can, if, you know, we have Oppenheimer, we have Mrs. Oppenheimer, we have Strauss, who was played by Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
You have
Robert Downey Jr., by the way, can I say he was very much being Tony Stark in this freaking movie. Then later on in the film, he started to be, I could see someone else.
Well, that's greater than him being Doolittle.
But even in Doolittle, he was Tony Starkin.
But it was still better than in Doolittle.
Yeah.
But it was
he did a good job. But he's Tony Stark. His mannerisms, the way he talks, his delivery is
which
very
is probably
Tony
more
Stark.
why he was put in that role in the first place.
Because
that person that he played in the end, it was more about his ego instead of the cause and really what they were trying to accomplish.
Right.
So in regards to the moment that was happening, I do think that workplace. The only thing I will give you in regards to this is it does cut between certain moments of present and past when they're telling you about some of the things.
I think there's going to be a lot of people.
I don't think you should get lost based on how they presented it. But I can't say.
You can't expect people to remember those names.
No.
You can't expect people to remember all of those names.
Not the names.
So that people. I got lost with the names.
No, based on
who is he talking about when he says that name?
Based on the cinematography.
I know.
That for me, that's what made sure I knew we're in present, we're here, or are we looking ahead? That's what I'm saying. I think he did a very good job working and making sure that's one way of making sure where you are in regards to timeline. And again, there's a lots of other names. I'll just give last names.
Let me tell you, the name that threw me for a loop was the Bolden guy, because he was so important, and so he was important in the movie, but he was like in the shadows. You could
and then it was like, oh, you're back around. Oh yeah, you
so you're somebody.
I got you. I understand. It's.
I would say try to not familiarize yourself, but try to remember people's names when they get introduced and shake hands for a brief second, because they very might be important to the whole.
Because they might come up in discussion, but you may not see them again for a minute.
Overall, bro, I think this tickles my fancy as a film lover. Christopher Nolan hits it out the park with this one. But me being a film lover, I understand that I know who I am, and I know how audiences people are going to cap for this movie. Number one, reviewers on YouTube are not going to be bold enough to say that Oppenheimer made them confused, and they're not going to be bold enough. And I believe some of them aren't even going to be intelligent enough to be able to decipher this movie. That's me keeping it a buck. So by default, they're going to say Oppenheimer was great. This movie is great. One of Nolan's general reviews. Nolan was great at this. The way things were happening, I was like, wow. It was so riveting to the mind. It kept my interest in all that for 3 hours. It didn't feel like 3 hours. This thing was great. Robert Downey Jr. did an awesome job.
Yes.
Cillian Murphy.
Yes.
They're going to go down the list of actors and actresses that were great. They're going to say how great Nolan is. I give this movie an A. Like, please don't get fooled by these mediocre reviewers. Bro, I really think if people keep it a buck, more people should come out and say Oppenheimer was boring. And I understand why. Because I know a lot of people, not movie reviewers on YouTube, because most of them are fake, but the people who go see Oppenheimer with their families or with their friends, they're going to be like, what the freak? The dudes next to us in the theater, they left an hour and a half in the movie.
No, yeah.
It was not fun for them at a point.
I was like, all right.
They were there, they were paying attention.
Yeah.
But by a point, they were like, let's get the freak out of here.
Yeah.
This is above our heads. Or not even above our heads. This shit is boring.
It did happen.
What the freak is this? They left. So, and those ain't cheap tickets.
No.
And I completely understand and sympathize. If you're a person who watched this movie and you're like, what? I get you. I understand. Because Nolan didn't do a great job at making this Titanic.
Correct. Yeah. It's not Titanic.
It's a historical piece about the Titanic. This is a historical piece about the bomb. But the difference between James Cameron and Nolan is a purist. They're going to appreciate my art. And if they don't, freak them.
In
James
regards
Cameron was
to-
like, "Oh yeah, I'm making Titanic. This happened in like 1912, but nah, that shit ain't gonna work. I gotta give the audiences something. I'm gonna give them a dope Celine Dion score.
Yes.
I'm gonna give them Jack and Rose,
Yes.
the best love story you ever seen in a movie, and then I'm gonna hit them with these facts.
Yeah.
Effective.
I agree. Because if you are an average moviegoer, even if you know and you appreciate Nolan, especially let's just say fine, if you've seen Inception, Interstellar, and then the Dark Knight trilogy,
Oh, Interstellar.
and then you get hit, and then you come and see Oppenheimer, you might be like, this isn't Christopher Nolan's best.
Yeah.
And it could just be based on what you have seen before and what you just watch in general. What is your type of movie-going experience and what you go into. I also would say this, even though I think this is an absolutely amazing film.
Yes.
I don't think this is going to be one of his biggest box office films.
No.
I do not, even though I think this is an absolutely beautiful film. And
I mean, we got a strike going on.
I would see it again.
It's a bad time.
Look, I was a little bit conflicted. I was like, should I be going to see it? I'm going to see this. Forget
The writer's strike.
Added on top of it, there's a certain Pink film that's also coming out.
And that's for them.
And
Let the women go see that trash.
That is for them.
This is for the cinemaphiles.
No, but I'm just saying.
Film lovers.
But you know how it is. People are going to be talking about numbers-wise.
Okay.
Numbers-wise, just what is the box office? And
I
they're going to compare these.
I
things.
still don't think
I
Barbie.
think this is going to be the better film.
I think this is gonna outgross Barbie too.
You think so?
Yes.
I'm not sure
I got faith
yet.
in the film lover.
I'm not sure.
IMAX screens are going to Oppenheimer. The only thing that's messing it up for Oppenheimer isn't Barbie. It's Mission Impossible.
Really?
Yes.
So? Okay.
Mission Impossible.
That's right.
It's still
in
We didn't go
there.
see this in theater one.
That's right.
We saw this in theater
We saw it in
8.
the second theater. Yeah.
We saw it in a medium-sized theater because the theater one, the biggest theater, was still taken by Mission Impossible. So if Oppenheimer can't get the IMAX screens, the big screens,
gonna be
and
tough.
Mission Impossible gets him, it's gonna hurt its bottom dollar.
And typically, is this like the largest competition you could say he's been around essentially for his films?
Week to week to Oppenheimer to Mission Impossible, that's tough.
Because typically it's been like they know a Nolan film is coming, people would move their schedule. Like, no, we ain't moving. No,
Nolan was upset with the schedule. He wasn't confident with the release schedule.
Yeah.
Because you got Mission Impossible the week before it, which is gonna get your bros. I like to turn my brain off.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible, sadly, this Mission Impossible is the most comic booky Mission Impossible of the last 4 Mission Impossibles.
Agreed. I can live
So
with
this
that.
is like, oh, bro, let's watch Mission Impossible. So they're not gonna go watch Oppenheimer. They're gonna choose Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And for the rest of the idiots and women, not women or idiots and then women, they're gonna go watch Barbie. So like, what is Oppenheimer? Who is it pleading to? It's pleading to the film niggas like me and you.
Me and you. and we're gonna tell people when they ask. No, Oppenheimer is great. It's go see it. But then we're also going to have to ask like qualifying questions now. What do you usually like to go?
Yeah.
That's the situation you guys are going to put us in. But if you ask me, how is Oppenheimer? Fantastic, great. I would actually go see it again. That's how it's going to be for me. Also, I think because this is the last film before this was correct. It was Tenant, right?
Yeah.
Tenet was
the only Christopher Nolan movie that I have not seen.
It's been split because of its whole in theater and at home experience, which he was not happy with. Thus, he's made his split.
His Tenet was released in theaters.
No, I'm saying, but it was split.
Right.
It was split theater and.
No, it was theater and
then straight theater.
It was straight. It was strictly theater. Then you had the ability to buy it full on VOD.
Okay, that's okay.
So you're purchasing the movie. You're not streaming that bitch.
Yeah, so that's what it was.
That's the reason why BG4. I have not seen Tenet to this day.
I got you.
I refuse to see a modern day Christopher Nolan film not on the big screen. So I'm waiting for Tenet to come back to the big screen, which it will. Just like all of his movies do, and that's when I will watch Tenet, bro. Because I'm not going to watch it on streaming. I'm not going to VOD it. I'm going to see it in theaters.
I think
And we were in California. He released it in theaters, but California was shut down. I couldn't go see it.
Yeah, we couldn't go anywhere.
Us Californians
we couldn't go anywhere.
New York, California couldn't see Tenet in theaters.
So here's what I really want to get to. I think that Oppenheimer is even going to go more underappreciated than Tenet.
I agree.
That is my perspective on this.
It's 3 hours. Some of it's been black and white.
But to some people, they would think that just the scale in which you...
I doubt
what
it's
you
a better
can-
movie,
No,
though.
but the scale
I
in
doubt
which
it's
you
a
can
better movie.
recall from the trailer of Tenant, you got this big old
More
airplane.
interesting.
People want to see stuff like
reverse
that.
stuff,
and
yeah.
It feels like Inception or maybe Interstellar.
yeah,
So that's going to
Yeah.
be more appreciated
Yeah,
in regards to
I
that
agree.
than Oppenheimer in itself.
You're right.
But do not sleep on this film. This is absolutely
seen
a great
Tenet?
film. Yes.
Is this better than Tenant?
I'm going to say yes.
Good.
I'm going to say it is.
I hope so.
I'm going to say it is, only because
I've heard a lot of people didn't like Tenant.
it's not even for me. I would rewatch Tenet too. I liked it. And I would have to rewatch Tenet only because I would say it takes this type of I'm paying attention to, but it's in the world, like in
Once
that
you
realm
know,
of
does it give you a
Inception.
different viewing angle so you can watch it again and see it differently? No.
No, not necessarily. You know how just like certain things in Inception, where if you didn't realize how impactful it was, or it didn't necessarily make sense until towards the end, or if you rewatch it, like, oh wow, this is really makes more sense now. That's what Tenet is for me.
Right.
But this one, it was very, very clear. And you know me, when it comes to something that's got dialogue and I can get banter, because that was what I felt. Maybe that was what was happening with you, because there were moments where I hear the banter, I hear what's going on, and I'm actually leaning into you and I'm laughing. But you're still kind of like, huh. Maybe it was that, or maybe it was just something else that you were looking for.
What did you get from that? What did you get from that?
No, it was just maybe that was something that I caught that you didn't, or maybe it was you caught it, but it didn't hit you in that regard, because it felt like it was.
I noticed a
it was
couple
like,
things
it was
you
like
thought
that's the
and
type
laughed
of
at.
dialogue that was. It was this scientific educational joking or jabs at somebody, just like I don't like them in their way. It was like, oh, ooh, that hurts.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Oh, Florence Pugh. Is this rated R?
Yes, isn't it?
I think it's hard PG-13, bro. Florence
Let me
Pugh.
take a look. Scrolling up.
She's got perfect titties, bro. She is in here butt naked, bro. It don't show everything, but you see her. She has 2 sex scenes, bro. And bro,
Yes,
man,
rated R.
It's rated R. Okay.
Rated R.
Then he should have went harder then.
Yeah, this is like the first time I've even seen that.
Oh, that's gonna hit. This is first rated R movie then.
That was amazing. I just want you to know.
Is this his first rated R movie? This got to be his first rated R movie. This is rated R.
I mean, because
This is gonna hurt his bottom line too. They can't. This for adults. PG-13 is why the movies make money.
This is full on adult.
Oh man, that's tough,
let
bro.
me check Tenet real quick. I
So
don't
maybe
think
it might
Tenet
not
was.
outdo Barbie then all of a sudden. Mission Impossible, rated R. So yeah.
Tenet was PG-13.
Huh?
Tenet was PG-13.
Yes. His movies are PG. Even Dunkirk was PG-13. Man, goddamn, Florence Pugh got a nice body, but dang, her titties, bro.
And you know what's crazy? What's crazy is this. That might be the only thing that really makes this, and I don't even feel like that's enough for me, but that might be the stuff that makes this R. Oddly.
There was one F-bomb. But you could F-bomb in PG-13. It was in Fast 10.
This is one.
There was those two sex scenes.
You look, and you heard that. I don't even recall the F-bomb.
It was Robert Downey Jr. that said it.
What's that? Okay.
Robert Downey Jr. said the
Okay,
F-bomb.
yeah, I got you. I think I remember now. But it's
Yeah,
like
he was-
that was not even as impactful as anything.
No, it was just a flowing F-bomb.
Yeah.
Dang, this is rated R. He could have did so much more. He really could have shown some graphicness, man.
And
Now that you know that it's rated R, you could have saw some blood up in this bitch.
You could
some
have.
decaying
Sure,
body,
sure,
some
sure,
skin
sure.
falling
Yeah,
off.
that would've been fine.
The after effects. It wasn't just the bomb. It's the people that got affected by the radiation poisoning who thought that they were okay, and they were walking around sucking in radiation.
And remember, I asked you about a moment. I asked you about a moment. It's like, is that has to be an allusion to an inference of this is what happened to the people. Got you.
Yes.
Got you.
I
got
the
you.
people who weren't affected, who gave themselves shelter, an hour, 2 hours a day after the rubble, they came outside and were trying to help people.
Yeah.
Little do they know, they're dead
They're
as
dying.
soon as they breathed
They're
in
dying.
that air.
Yes, they're dying.
So, and then they got boils on their body, their skin. They would go to the hospital and their stuff fall off.
Nothing
poison,
could be done for them.
bleeding from the inside out, bro. Like the after effects of that bomb, bro. Like, I understand. But now it's rated R, dog. You could have really took it there.
Okay, question. Would you have pushed the button?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I wouldn't push the button. I won't make the bomb.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm
That freaked that guy, right? Oh my God! He probably the life that you got. I'm not pushing no button that's gonna kill hundreds of thousands of innocent people. Because mind you, it was innocent people. A lot of civilians, bro. A lot of civilians.
there's a lot more that can actually be dissected, and I think that'll probably be a spoiler-free review with Discord if anybody who
if anybody wants to talk about it, we can schedule a day to talk.
That'll be no
But
problem.
it opens up a big can of worms in discussion. Hope you guys really enjoyed this movie review. As you guys could tell, we're passionate about this. We love Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is the single greatest director working in Hollywood today. He is number one on my top 5. Mm-hmm. My top 5 does include Quentin Tarantino, and it does include Mel Gibson. People are sleeping on Mel Gibson as a director. He is undefeated. He don't have a bad movie that he's directed. Look up his back catalog. He's over. Like, over in a good way. He got no L's. So, yeah, man. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Thank you, BG4, for the profound intellectual discussion, bro. I really appreciate it, bro. Your intelligence was needed here, and your critique is great, bro. That was great.
I also don't.
You were the person to watch it with, man. And he don't stink.
I don't stink.
Yeah,
there was a little discussion in regards to us as a group, and some folks may not have the best smell. I just want you to know I smell like nothing, just like those people who were burned.
Just like I like the vag to smell like nothing. Like this video if you appreciated this. If you appreciated this video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for more Jody's Corner. I'm Jody Joe. That's BG4. Grades.
Grades.
B+.
B+.
B+, my official grade for Oppenheimer, bro. What about you?
I'm gonna give it an A. It's an A for me. This is a solid A. It's not over the top enough for me to give it an A+, and I don't really have any gripes, super negatives in regards to an A-. And there was a lot of creativity in here that, like you said, since I know now, all practical, it's definitely a solid A for me. I got to give not just him his credit for writing and producing, but just everybody around him. He definitely put together the cast, but probably the people who've also just been working with him for so long, behind the camera, working in the lens, great. A for me.
B+ for me. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Let me know in the comment section what grade you give Oppenheimer. I'm Jody Joe, that's BG4, and we are out this thing, man. Deuces. Remember to hit the like button for this video. That's the only thing that I ask of you. Helps out the algorithm. You know, it's hard out here for a pimp. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe if you want to. But hit that like button. Hit it.